Ever have that moment where your computer just freezes up and you're like, oh no, is this it? Am I being hacked?
Mm.
That's kind of what we're diving into today. It's all about ransomware. You hear about it everywhere, but what actually is it? And how do you protect yourself?
It's scary stuff for sure. It's basically like someone's holding all your important files hostage. They lock them up, and you have to pay, usually in this cryptocurrency stuff, if you ever want to see them again.
Okay, hold on. So how does that even happen? Like, do they physically get into your computer?
Not physically, more like it's like they set a digital trap, you know? Think about those emails you get with those weird links or attachments that you're like, should I click that?
Hmm?
That's how they often sneak in. You click once and bam, that nasty software is in. It's like setting off a digital booby trap.
So it installs itself and then
Yeah.
just like locks up all my files and then they demand money.
Exactly. It encrypts everything. It's like putting your files in a vault and only the hacker has the key. And then, yep, the ransom note pops up.
Wow, that's intense. So all my files would be scrambled. Like I couldn't even read them.
Pretty much. And it gets worse. There are actually different types of ransomware, each with its own nasty little twist.
Come on, different types. Okay, now I'm really curious. What are we talking about here?
Well, you've got your crypto ransomware, which is like that digital vault we talked about. But then there's locker ransomware, and this one's aggressive. Like it locks you out of your entire computer.
Oh, no way. So I couldn't even see my desktop or anything.
Nope, you'd be totally locked out. And then there's scareware. This one's a bit different. It's all about fear tactics. Think pop-ups and warnings screaming that your computer's infected.
Oh, I've seen those. They try to freak you out so you'll pay for their fake antivirus software.
Exactly. It's like digital blackmail. It plays on your fears, but it doesn't usually actually lock your files.
Okay, so three main types: crypto, locker, and scareware. Got it. But all this talk about ransomware is making me a little anxious. What can we actually DO to protect ourselves?
Don't worry, we're getting to that. The good news is there are some really effective ways to basically keep yourself safe. Prevention is key.
All right, lay it on me. I'm ready to become a ransomware warrior.
Well, the first thing, and this is huge, is backing up your data regularly, like really regularly.
Okay, yeah, backups. So if the worst happens, I've got a spare copy, right? But how often should I be backing up? And where should I be storing all this stuff?
Aim for at least once a week, maybe more often for those super important files. And you've got options. Cloud services are great. They kind of do it automatically. Or you can use an external hard drive that keeps it physically separate from your computer, just in case.
So cloud or external drive. Got it. It's like if you lose your house keys, you've got a spare set stashed somewhere safe. Okay, backups are key. What else? What other secret weapons do we have?
Be really careful with those emails, like super careful. Suspicious links, weird attachments. They're one of the biggest ways ransomware spreads.
So even if an email looks like it's from someone I know, I shouldn't just blindly click.
Right. Better to be safe than sorry. If something seems fishy, even a little bit, just don't click it.
Okay, so being cautious is a big part of this. It's like always be on the lookout for those digital red flags.
Exactly. And this one might seem obvious, but you wouldn't believe how many people skip it. Get yourself some good security software. I'm talking about a real, reputable antivirus program, the kind that does real-time scanning.
Right. Antivirus, yeah. But real-time scanning, what exactly does that mean?
It means it's constantly checking your system for anything suspicious, not just when you run a scan, but all the time in the background. It's like having a security guard, patrolling your computer 24/7.
Ah, I see. So it's like an early warning system, catches those threats before they can even do any damage.
Yep, exactly. There are tons of options out there. Norton, McAfee, Malwarebytes. Do some research, find one that you like, and don't be afraid to spend a little money on it. It's worth it.
Okay, point taken. Security software, check. What else can we do to build up our digital defenses?
Firewalls, you got to have them. They're
Yeah.
like a wall between your computer and the outside world. They filter out all the bad stuff trying to get in.
So it's like having a security checkpoint at the entrance to my computer, only letting the good guys through.
That's a good way to put it. And make sure you have firewalls enabled on both your device and your router. It's like double the protection.
Double the firewalls, double the peace of mind. Okay, I'm liking this. Anything else?
Last but not least, keep all your software updated. And I mean everything. Your operating system, apps, web browsers, the whole shebang.
I know. Those update reminders can be super annoying. But you're saying they're really important.
Oh, they're essential. Think of it like this. Every update is like patching a hole in your defenses. The longer you wait, the bigger the hole gets, and the easier it is for hackers to sneak in.
Okay, you've convinced me. No more ignoring those updates. I'm on it.
Seriously, those updates are like your first line of defense. But okay, let's
Yeah.
say, worst case scenario, you do get hit with ransomware. What then? What do you do?
Okay, yeah. Deep breaths. Here comes the panic again. I see that ransom note on my screen. What's the first move?
First things first, try not to freak out. I
Yeah.
know, easier said than done, right? But you got to think straight. Step one, disconnect from the internet, like immediately.
Whoa. Okay, so like total digital lockdown.
Exactly. You don't want that thing spreading to other devices or like backing itself up to the cloud. Containment, that's the name of the game.
Got it. Digital quarantine. So then what?
Then you got to figure out what you're dealing with, like what kind of ransomware is it?
Okay, but how?
Yeah.
I'm not some tech whiz.
Well, there are websites like No More Ransom. They've got these databases, of all the different types. And sometimes you might even get lucky. They've got free decryption tools.
Wait, so I might be able to like unscramble the files myself?
It's possible, yeah. Worth a shot, at least. But ransomware, it's always changing. New versions pop up all the time.
So even if I can't decrypt it, what should I do?
Report it. Seriously, even if you think your files are gone for good, report it to, like, your local cybersecurity folks or the police, whoever.
But why? If my files are toast, what's the point of reporting?
It helps, track these guys down, figure out how they work, maybe stop them from hitting someone else. It's like your report could be part of a bigger picture.
So it's like helping the good guys fight back.
Exactly. And it could help researchers, too, the people trying to come up with better ways to stop this stuff.
Okay, I get it. Reporting is important, not just for me. Now, about that ransom, the elephant in the room, you said not to pay, but like, why? What's the logic there?
Because paying doesn't guarantee anything. You're dealing with criminals, remember? They could take your money and run.
Oh, right. So it's not like like a legitimate business transaction.
Nope. And even if they do decrypt your stuff, there's no guarantee they won't just hit you again later.
So paying them is like rewarding them for being bad.
Pretty much. You're basically funding their whole operation.
Makes sense. Like negotiating with terrorists, right? You don't want to encourage them.
Exactly. Instead of paying, focus on recovery,
Yeah.
from your backups if you have them,
Yeah.
and preventing this from happening again.
Right. Prevention is key. We talked about that. Okay, now I got to ask, can you give us some real-world examples, like stories about what happens when this stuff hits?
Oh, yeah, there are some scary ones. Remember back in 2021, that pipeline thing?
Oh, yeah, that was huge. Gas shortages, panic at the pump, the whole 9 yards.
Right, that was ransomware. Crippled their whole operation. It wasn't just about data, it was like critical infrastructure.
Yeah.
Affected millions of people.
It really showed, like, how vulnerable we are to this stuff.
It did. And then there was that hospital system, got hit with ransomware, locked up all their patient records, everything.
No way. What happened?
Delayed surgeries, messed up patient care, cost them a fortune. A real nightmare.
It's terrifying. I mean, hospitals, that's life or death stuff.
Exactly. And these are just, the big ones that make the news. Ransomware's happening all the time, everywhere. Businesses, regular people, you name it.
So what's being done about it? Are the good guys winning?
It's a constant battle, back and forth. Law enforcement's trying to catch these guys, but it's tough.
So there are people out there, like, actively fighting this.
Oh, yeah. And it's becoming more of a global thing. Countries are working together, sharing info, trying to take down these ransomware games.
So it's a team effort, like a global cyber SWAT team.
Something like that. And on the tech side, well, the cybersecurity companies are always working on new defenses, better antivirus software, stronger firewalls, all that.
So it's an arms race, basically. Both sides trying to outsmart each other.
You got it. But here's the thing. Technology alone isn't enough. People need to be educated, need to be aware of the risks.
All right, it always comes back to that human element. We can have all the fancy tech in the world, but if we make dumb mistakes, it's all for nothing.
Exactly. If people keep falling for those phishing scams, clicking on shady links, ignoring those security basics, ransomware's going to keep winning.
It's kind of scary, but also empowering. Like, we have the power to protect ourselves.
You do. You absolutely do. Knowing what to look for, making smart choices, that's half the battle.
Okay, so we've got the basics down, but now I'm curious, what about AI? Artificial intelligence, I mean.
Yeah.
Where does that fit into all this? Is it part of the problem or part of the solution?
That's a great question, and honestly, it's a bit of both.
Come on, really, how so?
Well, on one hand, the bad guys are using AI too, They're using it to make their attacks even sneakier, more convincing. Like those phishing emails we talked about, AI can make those sound super legit.
So they're using AI to, like, supercharge their scams.
Yeah, basically. And they're using it to target specific people, tailor their ransom demands, all sorts of stuff.
Ugh, that's not good. But you said AI can be good too, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The cybersecurity folks, they're using AI too to detect threats, analyze patterns, even predict attacks before they happen.
It's like a race against time. Both sides are using AI,
Yeah.
and whoever's smarter, whoever uses it better, wins.
In a nutshell, yeah. But the thing is, technology is just one piece of the puzzle. We can have all the fancy AI in the world, but if we don't change how we think about security, how we behave online, it's not going to be enough.
So it comes back to the human element again. Awareness, education, making smart choices.
Exactly. As long as people keep making those same mistakes, clicking on those bad links, ignoring those security warnings, ransomware is going to keep thriving.
It's a tough reality.
I know.
But at least we're talking about it, right? Bringing it out into the open, raising awareness.
Exactly. And that's a huge step in the right direction. The more we talk about it, the more people understand the risks, the better chance we have of fighting back.
Okay, good point. But let's be real. Sometimes even when we're careful, things happen. We slip up, we make mistakes. What about the people who do get hit with ransomware? How do they deal with the fallout?
That's a really important point, and honestly something we don't talk about enough. The emotional impact, the psychological toll it takes on people.
Yeah, we haven't really touched on that. But I can imagine it's pretty rough.
It is. Imagine losing all your photos, your documents, years of work, everything. It's traumatic.
It's like having a part of yourself stolen.
Exactly. People feel violated, helpless, even ashamed.
Yeah, I can see that. That feeling of, how could I be so stupid?
Right. And that self-blame, it can be really damaging. People need to remember these criminals, they're professionals. They know how to trick people, how to exploit those vulnerabilities.
So it's not about being stupid. It's about being human.
Exactly. And sometimes that fear of judgment, of people thinking they're dumb for falling for it, it keeps them from asking for help, from reporting it.
So we need to be more understanding, more supportive.
Absolutely. We need to create a culture where people feel safe coming forward, where they know it's okay to ask for help, to admit they made a mistake.
It's like any other kind of trauma, really. People need support, not judgment.
You're right. We need to build a sense of community, of resilience. We can learn from each other's experiences, help each other get through it.
This has been really eye-opening, but I gotta admit, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed. It's a lot to take in. Where do we even start?
It's okay to feel overwhelmed. Take it one step at a time. Start with those basics. Back up your data. Be careful what you click on. Use strong passwords. Keep things updated. And stay informed.
Okay, so those are the building blocks. And hey, at least we're not powerless, right?
Yeah.
We can do something about this.
You absolutely can. You have the power to protect yourself.
All right, that's a good note to end on, I think. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the nuts and bolts of ransomware to the very real emotional impact it can have. But before we go, what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away from all of this?
Yeah, it's definitely been a journey. I mean, we started with that feeling of, oh no, am I hacked? And now, well, we've gone deep into ransomware, how it works, how to protect ourselves, the whole thing.
It's a lot, but that's the idea, right? We want you to come away from this feeling like, okay, I get it, I can handle this.
Exactly. And I think, one of the biggest takeaways for me is that it's not just about the tech, it's about us, about how we act online, our psychology even.
You got it. Cybersecurity, at the end of the day, it's about people, how we use technology, the choices we make.
So if we had to sum it all up for our listeners, what are the top 3 things they should remember?
Well, the first thing is ransomware is a real threat. Absolutely. But you're not helpless. There are things you can do.
Prevention is key, right? 100%. Back up your data, religiously. Think of it as your digital safety net. And then be so careful about what you click on. Links, attachments, anything. If you have even the slightest doubt, don't do it. And strong passwords, of course, different for every site, and that 2-factor authentication thing whenever you can.
Like putting an extra lock on your digital door. Okay, good, good. What else?
Keep your software updated. I know those little pop-ups can be annoying, but they're there for a reason. Every update is like plugging a potential hole in your defenses. And then, of course, get yourself a decent security software package.
Like hiring a bodyguard for your computer.
Uh-huh.
Okay, those are all great tips. And I think it's worth saying again, don't pay the ransom. I know it could be tempting when you're freaking out, but
You got to remember who you're dealing with. Criminals, Paying them, it's not a guarantee you'll get your stuff back, and you're just funding their next attack.
So we're basically encouraging them if we pay up.
Exactly. It's a tough situation, but focusing on recovery, from your backups and preventing future infections, that's the way to go.
Okay, so we've got the individual stuff down. But what about the bigger picture? Like, as a society, how do we fight this?
That's where things get interesting. We got to shift our thinking. It can't just be about reacting after the fact. We need to be proactive. Education's a huge part of it. Teaching people about cybersecurity, starting young.
So empowering people to be more aware, more resilient.
Exactly. And it's about creating a culture of security, Businesses, organizations, governments, everybody needs to prioritize this stuff.
Sounds like we need a global movement against cybercrime.
That's already happening in a way. Governments are working together more. Law enforcement, tech companies, they're all collaborating.
That's good to hear. Gives me hope that we can actually, win this thing.
Me too. But it's a long game, We have to stay vigilant, stay ahead of the curve, keep innovating.
Always evolving.
Exactly. Cybersecurity, it's not a destination, it's a journey.
Well said. I think that about wraps it up for our ransomware deep dive. We've explored a lot, from the technical side to the emotional side, and hopefully you're feeling more informed, more prepared.
It's been great. Great talking with you. Always a pleasure to dive deep into these topics.
Absolutely. And as always, we want to hear from you. What are your takeaways? What steps are you taking to protect yourself? Let us know in the comments.
And until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay safe out there in the digital world.
Knowledge is power. Use it wisely. And thanks for joining us for another deep dive. Don't forget to subscribe for more. We'll be back soon with another fascinating topic.